everyone, I'm Chris Erkley and welcome to your Monday edition of the PE Crime Blotter. The trial continues for the 12-year-old boy standing trial for the murder of his neo-Nazi father. He shot him at point-blank range. That occurred here in Riverside back in May of 2011. Preston Press Rich Diatley was in the courtroom today. Rich, the main focal point was the fact that there were strips of bedsheet from the boy's cell at Juvenile Hall found in his cell during a random search last week. These strips of the sheets are often used to either hang yourself or harm others or in fact escape. What was the main discussion surrounding this today?
Well, it was just brought up very briefly in court at the end of the morning session, and it was about what items should be returned to the boy after this search from last week. And the prosecutor, Mike Socchio, brought up that these strips of sheets had been found and said later outside of court that those were the concerns, that the boy, who we're not identifying, who's now 12 and was 10 at the time of the shooting, had attempted to strangle someone in the past, and that these strips of bedsheet could be used for attacking someone, a strangulation device, or harming oneself by hanging oneself, or for tying together an escape. All those things have famously been used in jail and detention situations rather.
And finally, also a court-appointed psychologist who was originally going to be called to the stand today ended up being left out. Explain why.
Right. There was the judge determined that there was a conflict in the two types of interviews this psychologist gave the boy. One was a court-ordered competency interview, and that was under a doctor-patient relationship where the boy was free to discuss anything and nothing he said could be held against him in a court of law. The other was a interview about sanity, and the boy is pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, which doesn't have that cover on it. But the judge said it would be difficult if the same psychologist made the two interviews to be absolutely sure that nothing that was said in the confidential interview might slip over into the permissible material that he could talk about. She said it just seemed like a bad practice to go ahead with that and disallowed any testimony directly from the psychologist.
And what can we expect now going forward through the rest of the week?
Well, things got a bit thrown off schedule because of the discussion about this admissibility of the psychologist's testimony. So the defense psychologist, who was on a defense-appointed psychologist or hired psychologist, who was on the stand today, will resume tomorrow. He mostly testified under direct with the defense today. Right at the back end of the day, Mike Socchio started his cross-examination. That will continue into tomorrow, and things were a bit hazy beyond that just because the schedule has been thrown off a bit.
All right, Rich, thanks for joining us. Be sure to keep us updated as things proceed. That does it for your Monday edition of the PE Crime Blotter. Be sure to stay tuned right here on PE.com for the latest on this story.